Hey everyone, welcome to Goldwater Rule. We're live. It is December 28th, still in that period of time between Christmas and New Year's. I see a lot of posts on Reddit kind of still reeling from things that happened at Christmas time. So let's have a look today. If you're new to the channel, what I like to do is read Reddit stories, and we get to kind of analyze some of the stuff that's going on in the stories. I subscribe to various subreddits, for example, psychopaths, antisocial behavior, narcissism, toxic relationships, family therapy, stuff like that. And so we get a chance to see some really interesting things that go on in the lives of some anonymous people. And we get to maybe react on some of those, and maybe from time to time engage in a little bit of chat from whatever's going on in the live stream. So just for your reference, I just want you to know we are live on Rumble, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Twitch. So if you're interested in this kind of content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, any one of those three platforms, and we can have a great old time talking about some of the trials and tribulations that a lot of people encounter in their day-to-day lives. So here we go. Seeing a I'm seeing a in the subreddit called "Am I an asshole? Am I the asshole here?" There's someone who says, "Am I the asshole for refusing to share gifts or give my ex money for gifts for my son's half siblings, knowing they would get nothing otherwise?" All right, I'm gonna back out of that one. It's just like I don't want to deal with that right now. Some of it can get a little messy. What I want to actually react to is this one here from the "Am I the asshole here?" Subreddit. And someone says, "Am I the asshole for being hurt? My boyfriend's family didn't include me." I don't know what's going on yet, but obviously, if someone's not included in something that kind of could be a little painful and cause some upset. So here we go. Here's some context. The poster says, "I'm a 19-year-old female. I found out I was pregnant 2 days before my boyfriend, who's also 19, his birthday. On Thanksgiving, we told his dad's side of the family. His mother already knew as they're divorced, and I love her. His stepmom said it was sad. His dad basically belittled us, and his grandparents wouldn't talk to him for a few weeks afterwards. Christmas comes around. His father's parents weren't doing anything for Christmas this year, as far as we are aware, and dropped our gifts off at our house. I love what I got. They hid a lot of stuff I like. They even got me a vintage Disney poster. That's besides the point. I'm writing this because my boyfriend is at his father's house, and he was invited, and so was my service dog, but I was not. My boyfriend told him my dog would not be going. I'm convinced his father doesn't like me because when they said all the rude things on Thanksgiving, I shut down, teared up, and walked out with my dog after his stepmother judged me for even having a service dog. They got him presents last year. They got us both stuff. I'm not even expecting him to come home with anything for me. I'm entirely home alone as my mom is at work and my brother and dad went out to get groceries. My father-in-law called my mother one night and around 2 weeks ago, basically blaming her and my mother-in-law for being pregnant, and she went off on him after he went, well, your daughter. She wouldn't even let him finish his sentence, and then he ended hanging up on her because, well, she defended my boyfriend and I against him, and he didn't like it. I don't think I did anything wrong to be treated this way. Like, now he won't even really acknowledge my existence beyond snarky remarks about me to my boyfriend. My mother-in-law won't answer his calls because of the way he treated me. My mother-in-law and my mother are absolutely dreamboats. So I guess what I'm asking is, was I in the wrong for being hurt? I wasn't invited today. So just I guess it's a complex and emotional situation right now for a lot of people that are involved. It's the holidays, and that's kind of a very serious thing to be to suddenly be pregnant without maybe a plan going forward. I think all the adults, all the experienced adults, should be stepping up and being supportive no matter what's going on, because it doesn't matter, that it is what it is, and there's no point in pointing fingers. We can ultimately point fingers in terms of, like, upbringing and all of this kind of stuff, but the time for that is in the past. Right now you have two decisions to make, and if you're pregnant, then obviously you want to bring that child up, and you yourself want to have a, an environment that is positive and nurturing, and there's no point in holding grudges and all that stuff and pointing fingers. It's too late for that. So the point is, everyone should step up, be a very functional and loving family, no matter what, and treat everyone in a very civilized and positive way. And I think that's generally what should happen. You can't be bothered. You can't be upset about other people's behavior. At the same time, you should also behave in a way that is positive as well. I know, so I think you were reacting probably because of the, how you were treated a little bit, some of the comments that were made. So I think a lot of parents might be very disappointed in the situation, and they're a little bit emotional. So I think all around, all parties should maybe be a little bit kind of adult about how they interact with the others, and positive and very, everyone should be kind of sensitive to everybody else in terms of how they in terms of what's going on. Let's check out some other things here. See if we have anything juicy. A lot of stuff still going on from Christmas time. A lot of people talking about whether or not they're happy with their Christmas present. All right, here's one. Am I the asshole for not being happy with one of my Christmas presents? It's let's check it out then. Am I the asshole for not being happy with one of my Christmas presents? She's 32. He's 32. They've been together for 2.5 years. I would guess you would have a sense of what the other person likes. Long story short, every year since being together, the gifts he got me were thoughtful, but not really. Kind of childish and thrown in a bag. Spending money was never the issue until this year. I noticed I would only be getting bare minimum while I'm over here showering him with gifts. I get only one after he hyped me up so much. Then the past 2 months, and lied saying I'll have about 3 to 4. So I matched him and got four, thinking I would get the same. I got him things that I think he wanted: smartwatch, sweats, shower stuff, etc. All I got was a Carhartt sweater, and that's it. Nothing in my stocking, just a sweater. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I even gave him a list of what to get me, and it's nothing that expensive in budget, just things I would need. Nothing on my list, just a sweater. He called me ungrateful, but doesn't realize that he actually lied about it. He set me up to be disappointed, but yet I'm the asshole in his eyes for being ungrateful while he gets the joy out of his new watch. I think everyone should have expectations about what Christmas means for you, right? If Christmas, for the most part, a lot of people, the gift giving and stuff like that take a higher precedent. And for others, it's about hanging around with the ones you love and enjoying a meal. And for others, even still, it's more about the religious aspect of the holiday. And, some people, all three of those things are kind of a big deal and they come together. And there are a lot of people who I guess aren't disappointed. They have elevated aspects of all those three different dynamics going on, and then they have a wonderfully joyous Christmas. Things come into play too about people's ability to kind of really match what the expectation is commercially for what it means for Christmas. And I think that a lot of people, it's one thing in their mind when they look around and they see these very kind of you know capitalistic kind of gift giving going on, and a lot of people walking around with tons of gifts. They compare this themselves to that kind of standard, and then they feel that they're missing out if that isn't realized. So in this case here, you know she seems to be happy with like 3 or 4 gifts, and he did say that he was gonna be getting her 3 or 4 gifts. I know part of the dynamic is that you don't want it to be one-sided, right? So you establish kind of maybe an expectation. Some people do that, and that, you know, you would think that if they're together and they're both in their 30s, there's no reason for them to not know what the deal is at this point. 3 to 4 gifts in an American, society or in a Western society is not, a crazy amount of gifts. That's kind of a basic kind of amount of gifts, I would think. And again, I know everyone has their own priorities in their life and their ability to buy, but so they both talked about exchanging 3 or 4 gifts. He said it. She was going to match it, so the expectation would be that she would kind of get something like that. I think it just shows maybe that he wasn't as thoughtful as she wanted him to be, and so on Christmas, outside of the value of the gifts and then the variety of gifts, you kind of want to feel special. You want to know that it's about acknowledging for some people the your love for your family and your friends and how much you appreciate them. And outside of actually saying that, one of the ways you show it to them is to you give them some kind of exchange of value, saying, I just really appreciate you, and I gave some thought into what I'm giving you, and here's my gift for you. based on what I know about you and how you feel about things. So I think the boyfriend here kind of failed in that regard, and she kind of came through. So she's kind of feeling ripped off, but she's learning a lot about her boyfriend at this point. So no excuse. I think she's probably right to be disappointed. I think maybe he's the asshole for not coming through and giving her making her Christmas all that it could be. All right. This is again another one from Am I the Asshole here? For shutting down unnecessary negativity from my family. First off, I worded the title wrong, and this is a quick edit because I can't change the title. What I meant was, Am I the asshole for shutting down conversation with my dad? Specifically. Okay. So a person was having a conversation. I guess they had to shut dad down for one reason or another. My dad always has something to complain about no matter what, whether it be the food we ate, the drive we took, the conversations other people clothes people are wearing, etc. Really annoying. If it was a great experience, he will look for something wrong all the way down to the smallest of details as to why it was bad experience, even when it was in fact quite lovely. I've always just stayed silent when he ranted about everything wrong with the event, the people, the food, whatever we're talking about, and when I seem to quite enjoy whatever we were doing. Recently, I've started speaking up. I'll give him short, obvious, uninterested answers, or just simply say things like, "Oh well, I really liked blank about last night," essentially disregarding his complaint and therefore shutting down the conversation. It's different if it's a valid complaint, but normally it's him nitpicking things that don't need to be criticized or things that were completely out of anybody's control. The thing is, he sees any sort of contradiction, like what's normally in my responses, as complete disrespect. So he starts arguing with me about it and bringing all sorts of irrelevant topics, interactions, and insults into the argument, making it a negative experience for everyone else who's around. So, in any small or big way, am I the asshole? Yeah, I don't see any indication that you're the asshole here. I think that some people are just negative, right? They have a negative view on it. Maybe they get older and they find that the world's been so critical, and they turn into that themselves. There's a bit of kind of negativity going on with everybody. So, certain societies are kind of critical. I think I know English in England and in Canada, they can be kind of critical, not really seeing positivity in a lot of things. They just want to nitpick. There's a bit of a negative kind of view on some of the things, and could just be that that's the disposition that your dad has. Now, on some level, there's a value to being critical of things, right? And so, but some people carry it too far into their personal lives. When you're presented with a series of facts or observations, there's sometimes some benefit to looking critically at it and kind of and being aware of what's going on, and then finding things that are suspect or critical, because that's just what we do with information. And sometimes it lets you be more intelligent and more aware of the situation when you try to be critical about things. But if you have a family member and they're always doing that, I could see how it could be a bit of a downer all the time, being super critical and making judgments about whatever we're talking about. Something's wrong or should be one way more or another based on whatever it is we're talking about. And so that can get really old over time. People don't want to hear all that. It's kind of negative. And then if they're not objective about their comments, then you like you suggest that you kind of respond back to the your father. Then then you could tell really they don't really have an interest in talking about whether something is right or wrong, or whether it actually is one way or another. They're always just doubling down on the negativity. Then that's kind of something different, and that can just it's a downer. So I think what you end up learning from that is that maybe you just don't comment back to your father. You just let it go, and I think he'll learn pretty quickly that if he doesn't get any response from you, then there's no point in talking about it anymore. So, but if you make statements like "I really like this," "I really like that," and it's just a standalone comment, then I think it's up to him to contradict you, and him to kind of come to terms with what you're saying. Let him kind of shut you down if he has to, because you're entitled to your own opinions and what you say matters. And people sometimes when there's a power exchange, right, like when a parent and a child, the parent just assumes because they were right early on in the relationship that they're right now. But as you grow and you evolve into your own person, you have your own thoughts and opinions and values on things that might differ from your parents. So you express those things in the conversation, and you're allowed to maintain them. And if there ever is a debate, then people are allowed to freely discuss their viewpoint and their perspective and the reasons why they hold those viewpoints and perspective. All right, another one here. My overreacting for being hurt by my partner's family's Christmas gift. Again, another one. All right, another one. A lot of am I the assholes today? Am I the asshole for not letting my dad date the woman he quote unquote loves? My dad started dating a woman back in March, shortly after getting out of a rough 15 years on and off relationship with a very angry and unpleasant woman. She's 15 years younger than him, 6 years older than me. Okay, that's interesting. And, with a very young children, I'm 34 and my brother is 31. Thought it was weird that my 55-year-old father wanted to be dad again to very young kids, but whatever. Carry on. We met her a couple of times and I was extremely turned off by her. She's very immature, talks in a super high baby voice when she does talk, and is just generally just weird. We were all surprised that he was so interested in her, but she was a lot nicer than the last woman he was with, so we figured it was just that. Finally, someone kind and treated him right. Whatever. Flash forward to October, and he starts doing extremely weird things. He's posting unhinged things on social media. He deactivated social media years before because it creates too much drama. These posts are threatening and cringy. Come to find out, my dad found out that his girlfriend was still communicating with her ex, and his posts were a way to bait this dude to come out and tell him they were still a thing. We all basically tell him that he's being an idiot. The proof is in the pudding, and to just drop her. The proof is a lot to write out, but just trust me, there is a lot. In one instance, my dad caught them in bed together, sleeping, but still. I tell him that she's no longer welcome at my house. He currently lives with me, and I want nothing to do with her because she's too timing the best person in the world, and he doesn't deserve it. Plus, I just don't like her. The main reason is because he became a different person when dating her, lying, treating his family in ways he's never done previously. He broke up with her right after Thanksgiving due to something pretty trivial in comparison to the issues before. But then he's been moping around and crying ever since, acting like the world is over. Now, yesterday he basically tells me that he loves her so much, and that the only way they can be together is if I let him. If I let him, he doesn't care about how I or we feel. But she told him that because I and the family don't like her, she doesn't want that drama and won't get back with him. I told him to get his own place and he can do whatever he wants, but she still won't be with him because of me. So he said again, in order for this to work, you need to forgive her. And I said, my answer is still a no. I don't like her. I don't like how she treated him. And I don't like the person he has become by being with her. She's a liar and a cheat. So no. Am I the asshole? Like, I don't care that he dates her. I've said that multiple times, but I just don't want anything to do with her. I'm too old for this drama bullshit and want nothing to do with it. But apparently, because it's my call, I'm ruining his life and don't want him to be happy. Um, so yeah, no, these people are too old to involve you in this drama. So if your father's like 55 years old, he's living with you, so I'm assuming maybe there's some like financial reason for that. I understand that he's probably looking for someone to be with, and he's still looking for his own happiness. Totally get it. Hey, Polly, and but you know, all of the rules of social engagement still exist, right? People have to get along with each other at the end of the day. So I think what we see here is that we're getting some insight into who the person is that he's dating. So, as a 55-year-old is dating someone, she's got some other guy in the periphery, and so this whole like sleeping in bed together. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break. I think maybe his self-esteem is low. The father's self-esteem is a little low, and when someone wants you and they want to be with you and you want to be with them, you don't have to fight it. There's no fighting that goes on with this. It's very straightforward. And when people are in their 50s, then they should be very aware of the passage of time and their mortality, right? They've just lived most of a lifetime already, And so when you see something that you love and that you want to move forward, then you should be removing the obstacles to that, right? Because time is ticking. And if you're still with someone who's kind of playing childish games with you, like this woman is, then you need to maybe move on and find someone else that is better suited to you. At the same time, um, you should do what you want. However, if you love and trust your children, then they're probably giving you good feedback in terms of what's going on in the situation. So your daughter, who probably loves you, and you're living there after all, she's probably giving you some advice that you should at least consider. Now, I agree with the daughter. She says that you could date this person, you just can't bring her to the house. Then that's probably there's your answer. So you shouldn't have to run who you're dating by your daughter. Your daughter shouldn't have to vet whoever it is you're with. At the same time, there's probably some very valuable information that she can provide to help you make a decision. And so, if you're not so desperate, maybe you should be amenable to listening to that advice that's being given by the daughter. So I don't think that she's the asshole at all, and it's not up to her to let her dad date anybody. But she's certainly free enough to offer her own opinion on who this person is and any personality flaws that she sees. All right, this is from a subreddit called "Raised by Narcissists," and the title is "You're always the villain in the narcissist story." This is just advice someone's giving. My siblings sure like making me out to be a terrible person. They can say and do all kinds of awful stuff to me, but it's me that's the villain. Doesn't matter that I'm autistic and most of the stuff they hate me over is beyond my control. Being told since I was a kid, now they want me dead. Been told how they liked me better back when I kept to myself because I'm annoying whenever I start talking. Been told how they're embarrassed to be around me because I was never cool enough to be around them. They whisper my successes but broadcast my failures. They make excuses for the shortcomings but laugh at mine. But yet, according to them, in the piece of shit, and that I'm the piece of shit, and that's the story they tell everyone. And what's infuriating is people choose to believe them over me, all because they're more charismatic than I am. It's crazy how charisma is everything. It doesn't matter who's truly wrong or truly right. It doesn't matter what's said. It matters how it's said, and I hate that. I really effing hate that. All right, so if you've been around anyone that's narcissistic, they have a hard time kind of fitting in a lot of social situations, right? There's some awkwardness here, but that doesn't mean that they don't also have their own personalities. Now, people who are autistic can have pathological personalities. There's no reason why they can't have their own personality, but they are aware of they can be rather flat in terms of how they deal with people, very like logical and very sometimes very rule based, and there's a very narrow window of their likes and dislikes. And so from my experience with some of the autistic people that I've been around, they're able to see a lot of things kind of actually in black and white. So they see a lot of the bullshit that happens in our day-to-day relationships, and they can make some very astute observations. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but in the high tech industry, right, due to the like I guess reasoning ability of some autistic people, they find themselves, finding gainful employment in that field because there's no need for the social aspects of human life, right? In a lot of the tech industry, it can boil down a lot of times to binary decisions and bits of logic. So in my experience, I know an autistic person who's super logical, and I get along very well with this person. However, in some settings, there are colleagues that may not be amenable to that, and when they see all of the gray stuff, all of the what you see here in this post, what you're seeing is the last sentence. It doesn't matter what's said; it matters how it's said. Okay, so that must bother this person because in our human reactions, there's all kinds of like you're kind of like finessing how you deal with people. It's a little bit glib, to be honest. It's a little bit superficial, but a lot of people in their interactions, if you were to take the text, like the literal text of what they say, it wouldn't. People don't like to hear the literal text of what it is. They want to be schmoozed about certain issues, and people like to talk around issues. And from my experience with autistic people, they're often quiet, but when some of them do speak, they get right to the point. There's no room for all of the extra nonsense. And so in this relationship here, I think the siblings probably, if that's true, the siblings that are here, they don't get the fact that this person doesn't deal with the nonsense. And so instead of understanding where the poster's coming from, they choose to just I guess berate the person as what I'm getting from this, and then and judge her based on that. So I can imagine a lot of arguments that could happen based on this. And then also the autistic person just operates on a completely different level than the other people. Now, the poster here is framing the people in her life as narcissists, right? Because she's looking for a definition of what's going on here. We have no idea if the siblings are actually narcissistic or not, but this is at least what the poster thinks about it. So yeah, making it all about them and how they say things and how they're the arbiter of what is good and there's bad. So it's got to be frustrating for everybody, and but that's just unfortunately, even if in a narcissistic house, sorry, in a household with someone, or a family with someone who's narcissistic, all of these issues still come out because people are still, at the end of the day, trying to deal with one another for better or for worse. And then again, the siblings have their own personalities too. So let's continue the doom scroll of the Reddit stories. All right. So this person is this is about a relationship. There's a relationship tag on this. This is in the subreddit called "Am I Overreacting?" And am I overreacting over this guy? So I guess this needs a trigger warning. I guess it involves being intimate with somebody. So the poster was with this guy. He's the poster's age, and we had been friends for a few years, and we met up. I lived in a hotel because we lived away from each other. He seemed okay, and we got to my hotel, and then he kind of changed. He got really close, and yes, we had talked about being intimate before, but meeting in real life was different and all. All right, so it looks like this was like I guess a internet romance, if she's saying referencing meeting up in real life. So they've been on friends online for a few years, is what she means to say. Um, and again, I'm still assuming it's a she here. I don't know. I said I wasn't ready because the poster's saying that they were a virgin, but he asked over and over again and even said, "I know that you want it." So I finally agreed, and it was okay. He couldn't finish though. He just gave up and took a shower. He never forced me to do anything, like oral being intimately oral intimacy, even though he asked a lot. I said no, and he respected that. We didn't meet up for a time after, but met up not too long ago now. It was also going okay. I agreed this time, but we were in a weird position that made me turned off, and my body didn't get the memo of arousal, not even when we did it, and it hurt. I told him it hurt, but I got no response. I bled a little after, and my lower abdomen swelled, which has never happened to me before. I didn't say anything after. I know he's super immature and he tells me he wants to date, but he never puts effort, nothing. He took me to McDonald's and was on his phone the entire time, even though he promised to take me to an actual restaurant. But now he says he takes consent super seriously, and he always says, "If you consent." I brought this old thing up not too long ago about, but that he didn't stop when I told him, and he said that he knew and that he felt bad. All right, so let me see. Yeah, so I mean, a person is allowed to give away, like stop consent at any time because you are in control of your body at the end of the day. So if at any point that happens to you, then yeah, that's in the moments that follow. That is like contrary to the arrangement that you have, right? Everything, every time some people or every time people are together, they're consenting to do something together. Most people probably don't explicitly ask if something is allowed or not because that's just how human beings work. In this day and age, though, sometimes there's an expectation that explicit consent will be acquired prior to doing anything. If you're in the middle of doing anything with anybody and they don't want to participate anymore, that that is that's how it's supposed to be. Now, also in this age, we have to be aware of what's going on in the world right now. People take that super seriously, and they might hold you to it. So if someone has initially agreed and then partway through asked you to stop, there can definitely be problems that arise after this, right? So if you don't stop immediately, then then they might take you to task after the fact. So I think that's what this person's kind of alluding to here, and that's just a fact of the matter. I would imagine it's not. It's kind of probably uncommon to, for the most part, to stop partway through doing an act, but it does happen from time to time, and if someone asks you to stop, then you should stop. So without knowing further information, I don't really know if this person's overreacting or not. The point is, if you ask someone to stop and they didn't, then that's a problem in some way or another. Let's continue the post Christmas Reddit drudge. All right, this is interesting here. All right, this is on the narcissistic personality disorder subreddit. And the poster says, I've reached remission, but why the F do I still feel this way? So, people, this is advice and support. People past remission, did you also feel this setback and get better? So, this person says that they were declared in remission from narcissistic personality disorder last month after around 2 years of therapy. I felt like I made a lot of progress internally on how I see myself and others, and a fuller understanding of what being narcissistic means. That's good news. Before my diagnosis, I struggled a lot with panic attacks in public transportation, particularly planes and toll roads and presentations, situations I saw as where there was no exit space. My brain created scenarios for all of these things I could do wrong to humiliate, all the things I could do wrong to humiliate, all out of fear of not belonging and being an outlier. After therapy, one of the things I learned was talking kinder to myself and also differentiating between actual and perceived anger. However, yesterday I received major bad news related to my career, which affects 60% of my income. That's horrible. I also happened to have a visit to visit my husband's house, which passes 30 minutes toll road, which I've already done before and felt fine about. And there it was again. I got a panic attack again on the highway. I felt shivers and heard voices again. And I hated feeling like that. I think it's probably triggered by the career news, which affected my identity and stability. And I'm mad that I was triggered by such external news. Above all, I'm bummed that I can still feel that the panic was bigger than me when I thought I was way past that. So interesting. I don't, this whole idea of remission when there are like profound personality characteristics, you have to be, I think, careful of that, being in remission, because then you just uh, having pervasive patterns of behavior, like within your who you are as a person, that's a big deal. And when people start throwing around the word remission, I mean, why even bother going there? It's almost like it creates a false expectation, right? You're a complex person, and you do all kinds of wild things in around a huge set of circumstances. So to be just blankly told you're in remission like that is, I don't know. It's sometimes unnecessary. I think if you were to be told that, some of the things that you're talking about here, I mean, I don't necessarily associate with narcissistic personality disorder. So um, normally when people talk about narcissistic personality disorder, the the dysfunction comes with the relationship with others. That's the actual part of the dysfunction, not dealing with just static things that happen to you in your life. Like if you are if you lost your job, you might feel ashamed that you lost your job because that wouldn't be you wouldn't be elevated to in terms of status, a narcissist would want to have a certain kind of status, and losing your job would kind of bring you down. And I could see how you might feel ashamed and maybe depressed about that for sure. But for hearing, you mentioned shivers and hearing voices and being, I guess you were kind of humiliated along the when you're driving past your husband's house. Um, Maybe feeling not belonging or being an outlier, those are natural kind of feelings. But you know I think if you're talking about or feeling that you're having a setback, then you think you have to be just explicitly acknowledge those things, right? It is a big deal, no matter personality disorder or not. Losing 60% of your income is a big deal, and so everyone has to kind of survive that. You might feel less of a person, like, no matter who you are. The best of us would feel not too good if we lost our more than half of our income. So I think you would keep up with your therapy, and ultimately, I think the likelihood of getting over the setback is pretty large. And so I think that dealing with the world in general, no matter what happens, should be getting better, right? If you're undergoing therapy with a person, you get someone who's more objective about your life, and you get to talk about those things with them, and then you get to talk about how you dealt with the things. I think one of the things that you learn in therapy is that not it's not about what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. So you're right to say that overall you feel bummed, and but you can still feel that the panic was there, and obviously, I guess you're not past that. Also, I just would question, like, is there anything else going on in terms of the panic? Why is there physical panic? I'm not sure that's necessarily symptomatic of it, the personality disorder itself. I think a lot of people would panic if you lost your jobs, regardless of having the personality disorder or not. It's a big deal. It's a super big deal to not to lose your income. And so I would suggest that maybe some of your reaction might even be a very normal reaction, and you're conflating the setback in terms of your income with the actual setback in your psychology, which is something completely different. So that would you need to understand the differences between those things. So that's it. So I'm optimistic that you would, after more therapy, that you'd probably get back to your new norm after having a conversation with your therapist, and reevaluating what's gone on in your life. Am I the asshole here again for feeling resentment towards my boyfriend's mother and wanting distance from her? So I need to blow off some steam. My boyfriend seems to think that I'm overreacting to all the ways that his mother has crossed boundaries uh, during a very special, once in a lifetime moments. I just had a baby 4 months ago, and we just moved from out of state and bought a home 10 minutes from his mom. His mom's a nice lady and all, but now I've realized I've hit the level of resentment with how overbearing that she's actually been. She likes to be very involved. She has a lot of money and feels the need to constantly give my partner a lot of money. This seemed amazing at first, but now I realize it's a way of controlling us. She's single and has a daughter, and a sister-in-law and granddaughter, a year older than ours, that live nearby as well. I'm grateful for her help and support, but she's crossed over the line. My partner and I both together and apart, have had to have conversations about boundaries, and she doesn't seem to respect them. Because my partner has gotten used to his mom doing things for him all the time and sending him a lot of money, he's also on her phone bill monthly. It's caused a strain in our relationship. He rarely plans things or takes the lead. As a woman, and especially postpartum, I need him to step up. I had a conversation with his mom about um, how this is affecting us. I just went back to work, and both my boyfriend and I work from home. She offered to watch the baby for a few days a week, but only at her house. My baby's only 4 months old. She tried to take her to watch her at her house since she was just 5 weeks old. I'm breastfeeding and pumping. We only need her to watch the baby for a few hours on 2 days, 5 hours on one day. Now, we appreciate the support. She said she's only agreed to watching the baby one day a week at our house, and we can't count on it every week. She wants to just watch the baby at her house because she's more comfortable and has dogs. We offered to compromise and bring the dogs here. She got flustered and said no. And of course, I want my baby close, and it's been really hard on me being away from her postpartum. Just feels like she's not giving him space to man up and to lead. It's caused burnout in me and imbalance in our relationship. This is something him and I have been working on for years. All right. The next offense was her organizing my baby shower and trying to invite all of her friends. I didn't know. I said no. It was awkward. I gave her the guest list, and she took it upon herself to guilt me into inviting my partner's grandma, who I only met once. Mind you, my own mother wasn't even there. It was a sensitive time for me, and I made it clear I wanted it small. She asked if my boyfriend, if it was okay if she invited his grandmother, then guilted me into inviting her. I said yes, and his grandma invited her sister. Sorry, there's a whole bunch of people getting involved here. All right. So what we get at here is that there's a overbearing mother, a very sensitive time. There's like a couple with getting back to work and also having a new child in the house. And there's a lot of specifics that weren't listed here, but I think you have to just set up your husband or partner has to actually step up and be the person that you need him to be. You are in this together, and it's a separate and strong relationship outside of his relationship with his mother. Now, in a lot of ways, he's subordinate in a way to his mother because there's some money that's tied up into that. So she kind of, from what I guess, is kind of spoiling him in a lot of different ways, right? He's got his own his cell phone's even he's on her line. So hey, Jarella, how's it going? You're always busy when I do these, huh? You like to stay busy. Good for you. So I think what ends up happening is you need to have you need to define what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, and then move forward based on that. And it might mean changing your relationship with your mother-in-law. Now, in a lot of ways, I think also, you're in a little bit of a down position too, because you're just you have a new child. Your husband's not stepping up like you want him to be. At the same time, you want to have a good relationship with your mother, and also, but on some level too, maybe you need your mother-in-law as well. So, because a lot of times mother-in-laws will step up, and mothers will step up and assist with some of the child rearing or be there for you in those days when it's such a busy life now with the new addition to the family. You need someone to actually step up and assist in that kind of way. And those few hours, whether it's a couple of hours a day or even a couple days a week, it makes such a big difference to a new mother, right? They need that. That's time that they can rest or do the work that they need to do separate and apart from the newborn. So the fact that the mother-in-law doesn't want to come over to the house to take care of it, it's a bit of a burden, right? Because on one hand, she's still helping out, but then there's a bit of you know, a situation where the mother probably wants the child in the house and around her surroundings still, even though she's got some tasks to do. But the mother-in-law wants to kind of take her out of that environment and away. I mean, almost doesn't seem worth it. The amount of effort that the mother requires, the amount of assistance, doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. I think maybe the mother-in-law should kind of acquiesce and kind of come to the daughter-in-law's house, right? That would kind of make that would seem to make sense to me. So I don't think you're an asshole for feeling how you feel, for sure. I think it's kind of normal. All right, this is under relationship advice. My partner, who's a 28-year-old man, tells me, 22 female, a little white lies. How do we work through it? Well, at first glance, I mean, the answer is obvious. You don't want to lie to your partner. At the end of the day, there's no like, uh, especially when you're talking about major things, right? So lying is just wrong. If you could like not do that, then that would be awesome. And so the poster goes on to say, my partner and I have been together a little over a year. We moved in about a few months ago. And in the past few months, I've caught him in some lies. He's lied about his nicotine use. In May, he decided to quit nicotine. And I expressed my dislike of vaping. It's not a moral issue. I just don't want to live with it. He asked for my support in quitting. He threw everything away right then. Fast forward to December. I'm exhausted. I'm working. I'm a working student. I've had a health mystery going on, doctor visits multiple times a week. During my finals week, He was extremely sensitive and irritable, which made my life draining. I chalked it up to him starting a new medication and gave him grace. When we talked about it after, he nonchalantly said, I actually think I was so sensitive because of nicotine withdrawals. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. He quit months ago. He told me he had been using nicotine almost every day at work. Now, I'm not morally against it, but angry at the deceit that's involved. It takes effort to hide a habit like that. He had to think about it every single day. Next, he lied about the amount of he fed our cats. When he fed them, I was right there and I asked him how much he gave them. And I was surprised at the answer. It was less than usual. So I asked about it. He then changed his answer. He actually fed them more and didn't want to tell me. He lied about it because he forgot the correct amount and didn't want to ask me. He said he didn't want to look stupid. In an argument about it, he told me lying is a common result of emotionally immature parents. He feels terrible, but I can't get past it. I'm here to work through emotional issues, but not if it comes at the cost of honesty. I adore him and have been so happy with him, but don't know how to work through the issue. I think when someone starts lying to you, and then you start you don't think about it, and then you catch them doing something else that's a lie, then you start building a character profile of that person. So and in this situation, the poster says that she's only been together for about a year with this person. So I would say you really still don't know the person. It takes a long time to really get to know somebody. And he's 6 years older. He should be a little more. I would say I would expect him to be a little more intact and together in terms of his in terms of not lying and being honest with his partner, right? So, what I would say that you have to just keep an eye on what he's being honest about and what he's lying about. There's lying about something inconsequential is kind of like a really weird thing. I don't really ever understand that. There's nothing really extreme going on here. Although you shouldn't lie to your partner about vaping. You should be honest with that. So, especially when we're talking about your health, I think that it's the same thing as people quitting cigarettes and then lying to their spouse about it. If you're having trouble, just talk about the fact you're having trouble. What you'll find, I think, is that you're getting closer to your partner when you go through that. So you're emotionally closer, and you could share the trials and tribulations of that experience, right? And maybe your partner could actually talk you out of quitting, and maybe be some supportive of you and be there for you, so that you could be stronger when those cravings hit. So, but if you see some lying persist, I would be concerned about that. And when you're talking about feeding an animal, I mean, you want to make sure someone's doing the right thing. You're taking care of another loved animal, a loved creature. Um, so, but if they're lying about little things like that, what else? Inconsequential things for the most part. What else is going on in the world and in your relationship? So I think once now that this person is on your radar in terms of their honesty, and now I think you got to be on the line and looking for the other things that they're maybe dishonest about. Let's see if we could find something else. For anyone watching now, if you're new to the channel, what we do is we're just going through some Reddit subreddits and just see if there's some interesting topics to talk about. What you can do here is like this video, and you can follow me on YouTube, follow me on Rumble, and follow me on Twitch. You'll find them live streaming there. I'm also on X, and I post from time to time. I just repost a lot of the videos that I post on my channel here onto X, and hopefully we can get a conversation going about some of the topics that we discuss, usually related to social interactions and personal psychology. All right. Another Christmas post here. Am I overreacting for going no contact with my husband's family after Christmas dinner? So I'm currently 5 months pregnant. Annoyingly, I'm very emotional currently, so I could have definitely blown this way out of proportion. I'll start by saying I've been struggling with perinatal depression in this pregnancy, and I've become very insecure about my looks. I completely stopped dressing up and putting makeup on, and just focused on being the best mother I could be to our toddler who's 2 years old. I'm on antidepressants and receiving therapy. My father-in-law arranged to come and spend Christmas with my side of the family this year, and which my husband wasn't overly happy about. They have a strained relationship, but ultimately, my father-in-law didn't see our son in a year, so my husband allowed it. I wanted to put the effort in this Christmas to look nice for myself and my husband, so I put on a red dress, did my hair and makeup, and felt pretty good for once. During Christmas, my father-in-law took multiple videos of me without my knowledge, and my dress has noticeably risen up in the video, revealing a large portion of my upper thigh as I was sitting down. I am opening presents, and my husband's family gifted me on the video. The next day, my husband's grandfather calls to have his regular FaceTime with our toddler, and one of the first things he says is, "I saw the videos of your wife from yesterday. What's wrong with her? She looks so pale and ill." He was on loudspeaker and was aware I was in the room. This isn't the first time he's commented on my personality and appearance, and he's well known for being a bully of the family. I was horrified that I've even been videoed without my knowledge, and that it had been shared in a large family group chat that I'm not even included in. I held my emotions together for the rest of the call, but once it ended, I burst into tears, and my husband consoled me. After the effort I put into my appearance, it felt pointless and cut deep. That no matter how hard I tried, I still looked awful. I asked my husband not to mention anything to his family, as I've noticed they almost seem to enjoy it when they can get a negative reaction out of me and begin to spread the word about how insecure I am and that I'm trying to distance my husband from his family. The next day, grandfather called again, asked why I wasn't present for the call, and began taunting me on loudspeaker. "Oh, is she too shy? Is she too emotional? She can't be bothered to speak to us? It's a bit weird she behaves like this." I left the room again in tears and let my son and husband finish the phone call. I haven't felt this small since I was a child being bullied in school. Finally, I said to my husband that I'm fine with him having relationships with the family, that I'll never get in the way of that. But I do not want to be involved with them anymore, and I do not want our toddler to be involved. I understand it may seem unfair that I'm withholding our toddler from them, but they also make awful comments towards my son, calling him retarded, to my husband because he has a speech delay, and laughing at him for not being able to communicate effectively. They compare him to other children they know of, and I'm afraid at the end, of the day he begins to understand they are laughing at him. My husband understands completely and is in agreement. He even said that he would cut off contact too, as he is sick of their behavior. But my sister-in-law sent me a long message saying I was being immature for doing this to their old grandparents, and that they won't live long enough, so I should allow them to have a relationship with our son. So they started telling people that I'm controlling, that my husband has no spine and won't defend his family, that I'll be punished for my behavior. My sister-in-law has cut contact with my family over this, and I know that's hurt him as a lot, as they were close. Am I overreacting? Do I continue to suck up how I feel for the sake of his relationship with his sister? I don't feel I'm being controlling, but I'm afraid that maybe I am. Is this controlling? So I think every household, you have a lot of different personalities, and what happens is you come up against a wall a lot of the times, and then you have to kind of decide what the line is that you're willing to let them cross in terms of your relationship with them. Sounds like the grandfather has a really aggressive, outrageous kind of personality, and I think he would need to be put into his place a little bit. People in the family need to kind of come to their senses and to be aware of what the right thing is to say in a given moment with another person. It doesn't matter that what your age is. You have to show that you can get along with others, and you can have to show that you're respectful of others. You're being a grandfather and talking in such a familiar way about your grandson, and is just not. It's not You can't transfer that to every member of the family just because you were talking down to you used to talking down or so matter of factly in a negative way to some of the members of your family doesn't mean with the daughter-in-law or the granddaughter-in-law in this case you can get away with that. You don't have the right to do that. People don't tolerate that in a lot of situations. They expect to be treated with respect at all times. And you think that if you want to see your grandchildren, that you should actually, um, maintain that kind of positive vibe if you want to continue seeing the family. So, I think everyone in this situation could learn that as a lesson. I don't think the poster has done anything wrong here. I mean, she's admitting that she's a little emotional, but I think when people start calling you out on things, especially when the person is already a well-known bully of the family, sounds like it was probably justified. I mean, and it's maybe about time someone stood up and did something about it. In this case, the poster is doing something that is called going low contact or going no contact, right? This ultimately is a kind of estranging yourself from a member of the family, and it's a valid tactic. I mean, everyone needs to realize that this is your life, and as an adult, um, you get to control the things that you tolerate. It's your happiness that we're after here. And so we have someone just commenting here. Jarella's commenting, you don't owe people access to your children if they treat them poorly, even family. If they want access to the grandson, they have to behave kindly or they get nothing. So, what's going to happen to this grandson, right? The child. And if he speaks a little differently and starts getting mocked about that, that's going to just impact the his self-esteem, and maybe he will that will kind of affect his development and how comfortable he feels. Now she's the mother and she's already aware that this guy is the family bully. So what's this little child gonna what's he gonna think of when he comes across this person in the world? Sometimes you have to estrange yourself, sometimes you have to just get over that. You have to call it what it is. And if it's serious enough, if the behavior is serious enough, then you got to kind of you can make that call. And I think you're well within your right to make that call. If you have a way of living, it's your child first and foremost, not the other person's child. We could say that it's part of family, quote unquote, but it's straight up just your child. And your job is to protect your child. Both of these parents should be working to protect each other and the child as a primary. So if there is another member of the family, it doesn't matter if it's a kind of patriarch of the family. If someone's being a bully, if someone's being an ass, then you look at each other. You say, "Is this normal? Is this a healthy relationship?" If not, you axe that stuff out if you want to, and don't feel 1 second ashamed or upset that you did it. So if you have a firm grasp of what the right thing is, you should feel confident that you made that right decision. But I appreciate the person's kind of going to Reddit to kind of get some analysis on that from some strangers. Here's an interesting one. Okay. Am I Let me see here. Oh, it was deleted. It was about someone who was wondering if they were the asshole for ending a friendship with a kleptomaniac. Kleptomaniac is somebody that steals things and has an issue stealing things. All right. I see a lot of posts too where people are just generally feeling like stuck, and I don't. I'm relatively new to Reddit. I think there's obviously uh, judging by the news, it seems like there's a phenomenon taking place right now where a lot of people appear to be kind of hopeless, and have not a lot of prospects. A lot of people still living at home, and that creates new and peculiar situations too, right? Because they don't have any power. Um, let's check out this post then. It's a post on the subreddit called "Raised by Narcissists," and the poster says, "Hopeless and stuck. What the heck do I do? I'm in my 20s. I'm a single mom." Stuck at home with my parents, no job, severe mental health struggles, and chronic pain. I'm in treatment for both. Even browsing jobs is giving me severe anxiety and hopelessness. My own car and place feels so far away and impossible, but I have to keep going. I have been needing to leave for years and feel absolutely stuck. I have no friends, no family. It's just me, my child, and our cat against monsters. Every time I think I found help, they're a monster too. It's like a nightmare I can't escape. So much trauma that I don't know how to heal. Therapy isn't helping. I've tried three different people, still going through it. Guess I'm just venting. Will keep trying to land a job. All right. So, yeah, just someone obviously in a very tough situation right now, in their 20s and stuck at home with parents, no job. So, priority number one right now is taking care of yourself and your parents. I would imagine that you are reliant on your parents, and I'm not sure, perhaps even the government for some kind of assistance. So, your money is number one priority, along with making sure your child is happy and healthy. At the same time, you're saying that you have some severe health struggles. You don't really go on about what exactly we're talking about here, but it's important that you stay healthy. And it could be that you're all kind of depressed as well, because you seem to be in a situation that is hopeless, given the fact you're raising a child by yourself and you don't have gainful employment, and you probably don't feel super in control of your life right now because you're you're stuck, as you put it, with at home with your parents. So I think number one priority is making sure that your child is safe. Again, keep looking for a job. That's really all that you can do, or some other way, some other means of making money. And I think once you do that, I think your self esteem will elevate, and you'll possibly able to move out depending on what job you get. And it's probably too early, might be too early, but if you're still looking for a partner at some point in the future, you might that might be some kind of optimism to look forward to in terms of finding a partner, if that's what you're looking forward to. Other than that, I think you refer to your parents as being monsters or people that are monsters, and this is in the narcissistic parents category. So you don't really there's not really much detail here in terms of how they're being monsters, but I guess you you got to kind of deal with their personality right now because you're kind of beholden to them in terms of living with them. So definitely tough situation, and yeah, I think you should do your best, obviously, to get on your feet, get that job, and maybe find a place of your own to get away from the monsters. All right, let's carry on. Let's check out some more of these posts. All right, this one's from the narcissistic parents. Stream, and the poster says, anyone else, narcissistic parents get upset when you go out and live your life. Apart from working and studying hard, I'm talking about maybe you've started to go out once a week to socialize with people, and live life a little bit. Could be as simple as a restaurant or maybe even a sleepover with a friend over the weekend, which means you come home the next day, right? Has anyone experienced your narcissistic parents punishing you in subtle ways, such as comments like, "Wow, you must have money. You need to pay me more rent. I don't know how you afford to go out when I'm struggling." Or it could just be in the form of a silent treatment or intentionally starting an argument with you so you're not in the mood anymore. It could also be a weird vibe you that being out feels like you're doing something wrong. So when you come home, you're tiptoeing in your house, just trying to avoid her or him and their negative, "You've abandoned me," or "How dare you" vibe. And that's what I've been doing. I've realized for a long time I've been making myself small just to keep the peace. So I mean, if you truly have a narcissistic parent, but things seem to be kind of okay. I mean, because you're actually you're going to school and you're working and studying. Some of the comments, I guess, could be considered, abusive or meant to kind of make you feel shame. And I don't know exactly how old you are, what the situation is here. When you say studying, are you in university or not? Have no idea. Any negative comments, I think narcissistic parents might make you want to feel guilty, and they might view the fact that you're going out and partying. They might be, um, you know, they could be also showing concern for you, right? If money's tight, adults often, they're more aware of the how serious it is to have a lack of money and the seriousness it is of having the money, especially if they're paying your rent or if they're paying the mortgage on the place that you live in. And so, and you indicated that they said you need to pay me more rent as a joke or as a kind of a comment, which means you're probably already paying a little bit of rent, and maybe you're getting a discount. I have no idea. But the point is, yes, they're commenting on your choices. And at the end of the day, if you find yourself ever living with your parents, I mean, your life is kind of like not your own. If they're free enough to comment on what you're doing, and if there's any bit of a power struggle, if one person has power over another, if there's like this landlord tenant kind of vibe, or if there's this someone who's saving you from all the hardship of life, and for example, you get to live there by not paying much rent, then what happens is that it's used against you ultimately. And so, unfortunately, it's just unavoidable unless people are very mature about the situation and are not the kind of people to hold that thing over your head. So, again, all of these things where you're living in your house, the best solution is to not be living in the house. And so, with narcissists, not giving them ammunition to use anything against you is the best thing. Let's continue the Reddit drudge, checking out some of the issues that people are going through over the holidays. All right, here's an interesting one. Am I overreacting for leaving my parents' place with my partner after they basically said we were losers? I just had the biggest blowout with my parents to the point where my partner and I left their place to go back home. This is still very fresh, so sorry. Sorry if some things don't make sense, but I need any insight I can get into this situation. The backstory is my partner and I were both 28. We live in Europe. We both work, and we're working up the ladder to go up the ladder. We rent a little place in the city we love. We want to stay. We're happy with life. Yes, it would be nice to own our own place, but with our current economic situation in this world, we can't really do that until we're both working 100%, which, as I mentioned, we're working on. So they're only working like 50, 60%. We visit my parents the night before Christmas. We were all happy and having a good time. On the 23rd, my partner's aunt died, which put a slight bummer on the vibe, but we didn't let it get to us. To the blowout, my mom just hit me earlier with that she's super disappointed in my partner because all she's been doing is sitting on the sofa and playing on his Switch. She then continued to go down the list of stuff he's disappointed about. And she says I've become too comfortable with where I'm at in life and that I have no ambitions anymore and that my partner is like my biological dad. My question is, did we overreact by leaving? I'm happy with my life. Yeah, it could always be better, but we're working on it without killing us. We're paying rent, all of our bills and everything. We're independent. Yes, my partner did sit all day on the sofa and play. That's because my parents didn't do anything that we had planned. My mom said she wanted him to take initiative, but he's still a guest and isn't going to tell my parents what to do. Also, we have ambitions. We want our own home and a reasonable paying job. Are we seeing it wrong? Or are they right? Um, I mean, I don't know that it's your mom is supposed to be making comments about her being disappointed in your partner. You are your own person with your own expectations. If your mom's disappointed, I think she's kind of saying that's about her expectation, to be honest with you. So, and again, it depends where you are in your life here, right? So, if you're both 28 years old, I think you should likely be closer to, where you need to be in your life. And so, I know the entire history isn't listed here, so we have very limited information here. But I think that on one level, your mom's also looking out for you to make sure that you're getting what you need. And it seems like on some level, she's not seeing that. It could be the case that your goals are different, and that maybe they're not as high as what your mom is expecting. And but that's up for you to decide. It might be the case that maybe what you need, your expectations change as you get older. It might come you might come to be 30 years old and goes, "Oh geez, I just kind of pissed away a lot of my 20s doing something." And so I think what happens is that you get older people and they see the opportunities to move forward, or they see something based on their experience, which also you can't understand. And so when they make comments, all that context is missing from there. They're maybe aware of the passage of time and how the sanctity of being young and being able and being putting effort into doing something that's productive and to making something of yourself. The younger you can do it, the happier you are later on in life. So there's that kind of dynamic too. So I would maybe have a conversation with your mom about her comment. But I think is if she's insulting your partner, then that's not cool at all. And I don't think you were overreacting at all for maybe getting out of there. All right. Well, I thank everyone for watching. Again, just on here for just over an hour, and we've been reacting to some of the Reddit stories that are happening over the holidays. I appreciate you watching and commenting. Feel free to comment if you're watching on this after the live stream. And again, if you haven't already, take a moment to follow me here on YouTube. Follow me here on Rumble or Twitch or wherever you can see us, and also on X, where I just tend to repost some of the videos that are posted on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Might be back a little bit later. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. See you soon.